Young people, especially those who are African or colored females who have low levels of education and live in rural areas, have been hardest hit by the economic impact of lockdown. That's according to the latest data analysis on young people done by independent think tank Mapungubwe Institute. The study reflects that COVID-19 has exacerbated the plight of the youth in South Africa, particularly those who were already vulnerable prior to the pandemic. Let's now chat to the Youth Capital Policy Analyst, Meyer. Thank you so much for making time, Mario. There's no doubt that the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated young people. Their experiences have been traumatic. Many have lost their jobs. They have been affected mentally as well. What have you found from your analysis and having spoken to these young people?
Good afternoon. As you mentioned, Youth Capital was invited to contribute to a chapter being written by Gibson Mudriza at UFS and Ariane Delano at UCT for a coming publication by Mistra on youth and national development. If anyone is interested in reading the working paper, it's available on Mistra's website. The aim of the study was to deepen our understanding of the impact of COVID on young people between the ages of 18 and 35, and look specifically at labour market outcomes and mental health outcomes on young people between the period of pre-lockdown, February 2020, and just after the hard lockdown, so around June 2020. And overall, the findings are that youth unemployment was high prior to the pandemic, but despite the gradual lifting of the lockdown measures, youth unemployment still increased. So about 1.5 million young people lost their jobs between February and June last year. And in terms of the mental health outcomes, the incidence of mental health problems increased as well. That predated COVID-19. So between 2017 and 2020, mental health outcomes for young people, negative mental health outcomes, have increased.
Yeah. How many young people did you talk to? How many did you survey?
So we drew our data from the 2017 NIDS Wave 5, as well as the NIDS CRAM from last year, Waves 1 and 2. So it was an analysis of these data sets.
Who have been the hardest hit amongst the youth? I think I indicated in that African females are some of the worst affected. When you look at those that are worst affected amongst the youth, what is the picture showing you?
As you mentioned, particularly female youth, African youth, and youth with low levels of education, and youth in rural areas. So groups who were particularly vulnerable prior to the pandemic, they were worst affected by the pandemic, and negative outcomes of the pandemic. Already vulnerable groups, most negatively affected by the pandemic.
All right. Youth Capital Policy Analyst Meyer, thank you so much for your time on this afternoon. Let's move to this now.